There is a certain kind of person who never really gets to rest. Not because their life is chaotic, but because their mind is always working, even when everything around them looks perfectly fine. They walk into a room and within seconds, something shifts inside them. Nobody said anything wrong, nobody is arguing, but they already felt it. The tiny pause before someone answered, the smile that reached the mouth but not the eyes, the way two people avoided looking at each other for just a half second too long. Most people will walk right past all of that without noticing a single thing, but not them. And here is what nobody tells you about people like this. It is not a superpower, it is exhausting. It is like living with a TV you cannot turn off. It just keeps playing, keeps analyzing, keeps asking questions, even at 2 a.m. when all you want is sleep. If this sounds familiar, stay with me, because today we are talking about what is really happening inside the minds of people who see too much, feel too much, and carry way more than anyone around them ever realizes. Where does this come from? For some people, this sensitivity is simply how they were born. Scientists call them highly sensitive persons. Their nervous system naturally picks up more information than average. The world for them is always playing at full volume. But for many others, this awareness was not something they were born with. It was something they were forced to learn. Imagine growing up in a home where the mood could change without any warning. As a child in that environment, you could not afford to relax. You memorized the sound of footsteps coming down the hallway so you could tell what kind of mood was coming. You watched facial expressions like a detective because your safety depended on getting it right. Your brain was building an early warning system, a radar, to protect you. That radar worked. It kept you safe. The problem is, nobody gave you the instructions for how to turn it off once you grew up. So now you are sitting in a normal meeting at work, and that same radar is still running, still scanning, still sending alerts, even when there is absolutely nothing to be afraid of. Sign one, Shasain. Your brain never stops analyzing your coworker sends you a message. Hey, can we talk later? 4 words. Most people reply, sure, and forget about it. But for you, your stomach drops immediately. The wording feels a little cold. Why did they not say what it was about? You go back and replay your last 3 conversations trying to find the mistake you must have made. This is your brain doing exactly what it was trained to do. Look for threats, stay one step ahead. So even when you look calm on the outside, sipping your coffee and nodding along, inside your head there is an entire operation running, recording, comparing, questioning, and when the day ends, you are somehow more exhausted than everyone else who did the exact same things because they use their brain for work. You use yours for work plus a full invisible marathon. Sign 2. You watch yourself from the outside. You're at a friend's birthday dinner. Everyone is laughing. You laugh too, but almost immediately a little voice pops up. Was that laugh too loud? Did that sound weird? You're in the middle of a good moment, and part of you is already floating up to the ceiling, looking down at yourself, writing a report. Even happiness gets examined, even laughter gets second guessed. It is like trying to enjoy a song while someone keeps stopping it every 10 seconds to ask what you felt during that last part. You stop being inside your life, you start watching it from the outside and slowly you lose the ability to just exist in a moment without judging it. Sign 3. You cannot take kindness at face value. Someone brings you coffee, gives you a compliment, checks in on you after a hard week, and instead of just feeling warm about it, your brain immediately looks for the catch. Why are they being so nice? What do they want? Note that this is one of the saddest side effects of being overly aware. You have seen enough human behavior to know that not everything is what it looks like. People sometimes flatter to manipulate. Apologies sometimes just end the tension rather than fix anything real. Once you have seen that pattern enough times, your brain applies it to everything, even when it does not belong. So genuine kindness starts feeling suspicious, and you end up holding people at a slight distance, not because you do not care, but because part of you is always waiting for the other shoe to drop. You do not become cold, you just become very, very careful, and sometimes that makes you feel incredibly lonely, surrounded by people but feeling like the only one who sees the full picture. Sign 4, you feel other people's pain as your own. You do not just understand when someone is hurting, you actually feel it in your chest, in your body, like it is happening to you. A friend shares something difficult, you listen and support them. But hours later, after you have gone home, that heaviness is still sitting inside you. You carry their sadness like you borrowed it and forgot to give it back. People love being around you because you make them feel truly seen and understood. You are the person everyone comes to when they need to talk. But by the end of the day, you are carrying everybody else's weight on top of your own, and very rarely does anyone stop to ask how you are actually doing underneath all of that calm. Sign 5, your body is always on high alert. You drink a cup of coffee, your heart beats a little faster, normal, just caffeine, but your brain does not read it as normal. It picks up the faster heartbeat, and somewhere in the background, a file opens. Fast heartbeat. Last time this happened, something scary was going on. Prepare for danger, and suddenly, a perfectly fine afternoon turns into low level anxiety. Not because anything is wrong, but because your body is so used to being on alert that it has started misreading normal signals as threats. You feel restless in moments that should feel peaceful. You feel anxious even when life is actually going okay. And the worst part is you cannot always explain it because from the outside, everything looks completely fine. What do you actually do with all of this? You cannot just decide to stop being aware. Telling an overly aware person to simply stop overthinking is like telling someone with perfect eyesight to try seeing things blurry. The sensitivity is real, but what you can change is what you do with what you see. First, not every silence means something about you. If someone takes long to reply, maybe they are just tired. If a coworker walks past without saying hello, maybe they have a headache. Most of the time, other people's behavior is about their own world, not yours. Second, you do not have to solve every emotion you feel. Anxiety shows up, your heart beats faster. Instead of immediately analyzing why, just notice it. Fionn, oh, there is that feeling again. Watch it without jumping on it. Feelings that are not fed with analysis will usually pass on their own. Third, you are allowed to see something clearly and still choose not to carry it. Awareness without boundaries becomes a prison. Awareness with boundaries becomes wisdom. When overly aware people start practicing this, something quietly remarkable begins to happen. The awareness does not disappear, it just softens. They still notice things others miss. They still feel deeply, but they stop being pulled under by everything they see. They start being able to stand in a room full of tension and feel it without drowning in it. The load gets lighter, not because the world gets simpler, but because they finally stop trying to carry every question the world is asking, all at the same time, all by themselves. The mind that never rests is not broken. It has simply been working overtime for a very long time, doing a job it was never meant to do alone. If any of this felt like someone finally put words to something you have been living with quietly, you are not the only one, and the depth you carry is not a flaw. It just needs a little gentleness, especially from you toward yourself. Which sign hit closest to home for you? Drop it in the comments, and if someone in your life carries this kind of quiet weight, share this with them. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply let someone know that you see them. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.